Hey everyone, this is Arsenal Fan Circle. We are live, and just at the buzzer, we got Stan the Man joining us as well. So we have a quadruple here. We've got a quadruple. Season 2, episode 45. I've got a newbie here, and Darren to my this side here. Darren. Hi, Darren. Season 2, episode 45. I've got a newbie here, and Darren. Just mute your devices there a little bit. Hi, Darren. Episode 45. I've got a newbie here, and Darren. Just mute. All right. Thanks, Dan. So Darren, we got Tanner, we got Darren, we got Tanner, we got Stan, and we got May here. Want to start out? We'll get into. Want to talk to Darren in a little bit, but first of all, I want to give Tanner a shout out and Stan also a shout out that they are endeavoring on a new venture, as it were. Tanner, over to you.
Yeah. So Stan and I have been tasked with leading the same old USA show that will be coming at the end of the month. Stan has been kind enough to grace the show with me as one of the panel members, along with Ryan from the Ars Bros and Rowan, as everybody I think knows Rowan from your show, Ray. So. Yeah. Bottom line will be we're in talks right now discussing, the first episode, what we're going to be covering, things like that. So please give my channel a follow. I actually have a show coming up on Tuesday evening, 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's just a transfer update show. Nothing too crazy. Probably go 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Just you know how this goes, man. We just get to talking, and next thing you know, you look at the clock, and we're 2 hours deep. So
yeah.
You're right. Give me a subscription, please. Just search Bearded Gooner on YouTube; it'll come up. Also, go to Same Old Arsenal and give them a subscription. We will be on their platform. I will be sure to be tweeting all of that stuff out. Obviously, follow me at the Bearded Gooner on Twitter. And that's it. We'll be having some special guests on the show from time to time. One or two of the guys from the original show will probably pop on and do a live show with us. We may have a few other special guests lined up in the queue for us in the future, so stay tuned.
Yeah. So anyone watching this channel who's seen Tanner and Stan, Rohan and Ryan, and have liked what they've had to say, and also, same old Arsenal, big name over in Britain. So they're going to be heading up a USA branch here. So check them out. Show them some love. And
tell your friends.
What's that?
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
You don't have any friends? Tell someone on the street.
We are all behind you here at Arsenal Fan Circle. You know that, Tanner and Stan, and the two other boys that are not with us right now. So much love to you, and let's get it rolling. I bet you're excited about it, Tanner and Stan.
Yeah, very, very excited for the opportunity, and quite humbled that those guys would peg me to lead the charge over here in the States. So very much looking forward to it. Some big things behind the scenes on my end of things in the works as well. So hopefully it's not only an informative show, but entertaining as well. So
good stuff. Now, Darren, over to you. Gooner 85. Darren, when we ever we have a new face, and we welcome new faces here at Arsenal Fan Circle, we ask them to pull up a chair and join the circle and tell us your story, Darren. How did you get into Arsenal?
Basically, sort of just as a kid, sort of watching on a Saturday afternoon, sort of just doing my usual thing, sort of as kids do, sort of go out, play football with friends, whatever, they come back, get all those little, I don't know if you remember those Panda Pop Cokes you used to get. Sit down, drink them, watch football, and that was my Saturday, really.
And that was in the early 90s, Darren, when Arsenal were pretty decent. They were a pretty handy team.
Yeah,
in the early 90s, so.
Yeah, it's when you had like the original, like you had Tony Adams, you had Dixon, you had Winsford, you had all of them lot. And they were the ones who inspired me. They're the ones who, taught me that it's okay to play, a centre back. It's okay to be different. It's okay to, just to enjoy football as much as possible. But yeah, so that's how much I got into it, really.
Yeah, definitely. Dan, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, mate.
All right, and Matt here, thanks for joining me as well. All right, so we're going to get into, I think we'll get a thorny subject. It's a really difficult one for me out of the road first. The news of the 55 redundancies. You can look at this two different ways, and you think that Stan Kroenke is a multimillionaire. Not that you think he's a multimillionaire, and surely to God there should be some cash flowing around somewhere at the Emirates that could cover people for at least another 6 months. Now, the other flip side of that conversation is they've been made redundant because there are no jobs available for them. So it's a tricky situation. There's no right, no wrong, I guess, in this situation. But 55 families have lost an income, and hopefully the club will hold them over and give them a decent package moving forward. I'm going to open it up to whoever wants to jump in here, because I know it's a difficult subject to talk about.
Well, there's kind of three ways that you can look at this. The first way is you've got the one side of the coin where it's like, well, we've got people who aren't able to work. There's no match day jobs for them. And if you was reading a newspaper and you turned the page and it said Nestle unfortunately lay off 55 people, you'd probably go, oh, that's a shame. Turn over and continue reading your paper, because that's what happens in business. But with football, there's a little bit more of an emotional attachment to it. So you do have the one argument, the Kroenkes have got a lot of money. The money that they're saving is about £3.5 million. They've put it to the Arsenal fans that the reason that they're doing this is so that they continue to invest in the team on the pitch. And then you can ask yourself, well, what's £3.5 million really going to get you? It's not really going to get you that much. So that kind of falls a bit short. For me, there's a third story. The third story is you can forget whether the Kroenkes have got money. You can forget whether you're looking at it as a business. The reason that the players, it's come to light, the reason that they took their pay cut was so that this would not happen. Yeah. And now they've kept their side of the bargain. They've won the FA Cup as well, and they've got us into Europe, and 55 jobs have now had to be let go. So the players, as I understand it, they want to have a meeting with the board to ask why this is happening, because that's not what the agreement was. For me, that's what the story is. Forget whether this is a business decision. Forget whether the Kroenkes should be putting their hands in their pocket. An agreement was made between the manager, the players, and the board, because Mikel Arteta also took a pay cut. So for me, this doesn't bode well, and I'm going to do something that you've never heard me do on a podcast before, and that's defend Mesut Ozil. So get your record buttons out now, because it seems that he was right. It seems that he was right. He didn't trust the board. He wasn't sure where his money was going. He didn't like the way that it was framed to him, and whether it was advice that he got or it was a gut instinct, he decided against it. From what I'm reading now, it would appear that Mesut Ozil made the right decision, because the agreement hasn't been held up. So that's, for me, this is the worst thing about all of this. And I kind of worry. I don't know. I was saying to my friend the other day, do you think that if you're a footballer and you're about to put pen to paper on a contract extension and something like this comes up, does it make you pause for a second and think, hold on a minute, do I trust these people? Do these people keep to their word? Maybe it doesn't affect it. Maybe the two things are completely different. I'm just throwing that out there. But that's where I sit with it. And I'm with the players here. There was I say it again, there was an agreement. They've not kept up to their side. The team has. It's not good.
Mahir, it's not a good look here, because 3 or 4 days after winning the FA Cup, the trophy we should be celebrating, the fact also that we're in Europe, we're on the upward curve, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But it's not a good look then to hit the club with this kind of news and the employees as well.
I mean, in a business sense, I love exactly Stan explained it like there's no need for me to even add my 2 cents into that. Stan explained it perfectly. And as big as the companies are in the world today, the biggest companies in the world are being closed and people are losing their jobs. Which, like, why? Like Stan said, why would you trust a company like that? Like, say you were to put pen to paper to sign a new contract. I mean, I was one of those guys that was slating Ozil for that thing specifically.
Yeah.
And I will admit it, my hands were up. But now comes to light that what he did was actually right. I'm shocked. I'm like shocked. I'm like, I always knew now with the business model of things in recent months and years, Arsenal have been one of those. Our club has unfortunately been one of those type clubs, been more about money than anything else. But now that it's come to light, it's bloody shocking.
Yeah,
Really.
it's a public relations nightmare because a few months ago we were loading the club for, as Steven said, taking the pay cut because we were on Champions League money and not reaching targets. And now the two things may not be connected, but it just a lot of fans are going to connect both of those things together and say what's going on.
Well, Mesut Ozil basically said that he wanted more information. He wanted to kind of, think it over a little bit longer. I mean, let's face it, the board came to these guys, were like, okay, this is what you're going to do, and now make your decision. And Mesut Ozil was like, whoa, wait a minute. You're not really giving us a whole lot of information here. I want to take some time to think this over and weigh out my options before I, commit to anything one way or the other. And the club just didn't do that for him. But it is a very unfortunate situation. I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit. I'm not really playing devil's advocate. I guess I'm going to repeat sort of what I heard from someone that I trust, who knows someone who is relatively well connected to a few folks in the know at the club, not these in the knows that just throw shit at the wall and hopefully something.
In the nose. Yeah.
But the scouting department overhaul was coming one way or the other. That is the club moving in a different direction in terms of recruitment strategy. So Francis Kajigao, our head scout, being relieved of his duties, that was coming anyway. A couple of the head UK scouts, I can't remember their names. The scouting department overhaul was coming one way or the other. The only thing I'd question here, yes, is the timing of the announcement. 3 days after winning the FA Cup, come on. Give it a week and then start to announce it, where you don't – and even still, because I do think, and I know we're going to get on this later, I do think they're going to be a positive announcement this week. I think Willian gets announced tomorrow, and if the rumors are true about Aubameyang, I think that's going to get announced Tuesday. But announce that stuff and then follow it up very quickly with positive news. That's public relations 101. The other part of the redundancies, from what I understand, are more match day employees, folks who are working in hospitality, stewards, concessions, things of that nature. And look, I my heart goes out to them. It's a very difficult time to lose your job. I hesitate to say this, but I am going to say it anyway, that those positions, the fact is those people weren't working anyway because there's no fans in the stadium. So the hope is that those folks, if this is true, it is speculation on my part, but if it is true, hopefully then once we get fans back in the stadium, those folks are first in line to get their job. So.
Usman, welcome. I think you know everyone here except for Gunnar85, Darren, and Usman. Usman, what do you think about the 55 redundancies that are going to be made at the club?
It sounds ridiculous because uh, obviously it's a bad time to lose your job to the whole coronavirus situation.
Yeah.
But it was not necessary to let go of the 55 employees because okay, you're not working, but you could still get paid while not working. I believe like that's the thing with some workplaces, and the fact that our owner is a multi-billionaire, he has money. He has money for a lifetime. If he was to retire, if he was to retire now, the rest of his life is already okay, and probably his future generations. It just doesn't make sense, and just selfish. But
BWTT said also said no to the pay cut because the team wasn't being truthful. I think not. He wants his money, and the team wasn't truthful. If what we hear is truth, not sure both are related. Um, James Fernandez is an Arsenal fan. I'm disgusted for how our club is being run at the moment. Do you agree? I don't like some of the signs that I've seen in the last 18 months. Um, the situation with Koscielny was not handled very well either. And this situation, I think, has been not very well dealt with the PR department. You know, 3 days after winning the FA Cup, when the club should be looking upwards, we are talking about this right now. The 55 supposedly didn't cover the scouts, which was a tragic change. Didn't agree with scout changes, but those changes seem to be what teams are doing now. So the club really has gone in a different direction. I think you touched on it, Tanner, about Edu and what he wants to do with the scouting network.
Yeah, it just seemed. And again, this is just pure speculation on my part, but from what I heard, and actually, don't waste the tweet is actually right on that. And thank you for pointing that out, because I meant to say that the scouting department was not part of the 55 redundancies, but the scouting department change is a strategic change. It's a shift in the way that we're going to tackle recruitment. Basically, I think eventually what you're going to see, based on the things that I've heard and the folks that I've talked to, is we've really emphasized the scouting department, but apparently have let our relationships with scouts really deteriorate. So we're trying to build that relationship back up. And I think in time, from what I understand, you're going to see the scouting department start to be rebuilt. I think the club simply right now want to focus on trying to build those relationships. I'm not entirely sure I understand why any of that is going on, simply because I know how I would run a professional sports franchise, and this is not it. I think you need both. You need to have the relationship with the agent, but you need to have a scouting department to identify players you want to bring in. And that's another. Listen, man, I could go on for the hour or so that I'm going to be here. So
no, we're gonna wrap this up pretty quickly, but it seems to be the focus of agents and links to agents seems to be to 2 or 3 agents. We've got a very small, short, narrow portfolio to get players in.
Well, with the scouts, as I understand it, when we brought in Sven Mislintat was brought in to kind of oversee that area of the club. One of the first suggestions that he made to Raul was that we need to get rid of a lot of our scouts and streamline that and trim that down. And they turned around and said to him, no. So this is how Arsenal are run at the moment. They bring in a specialist to look after the scouting, and they say, okay, come in, advise us, tell us what we need to do to get our scouting top notch. He makes a suggestion, they say no. So they marginalize him. He ends up leaving, and what do now? They go and do what it was that he suggested that time ago. This is how Arsenal are run. So I'm not surprised that they've done this, because this was obviously something that's been spoken about from Sven Mislintat's time. It's just the arse about way of doing it. What was the point of bringing in Sven Mislintat in the first place if you're not going to take this man's advice? Say no, marginalise him, and then end up going to do it anyway.
Well, Stan, they took his advice. It's just that they brought him in. What they did was they brought him in, paid him for what, a year? How long was he here? A year? Maybe just a hair over. They picked his brain. They basically said, okay, we're done with you now. We're not going to take your advice. Here's your walking papers. And then no sooner did the door close and the breeze stopped rolling in, and they took his advice. So it wouldn't surprise me if they still have paperwork on players that he identified while he was here, and they're going to go after those players too.
They took his black book and they photocopied everything and let him go out the door. I think he had assurances as well. He was going to move up the club in terms of status as well, and that was not forthcoming to him. But Gunnar Glenn's hit the nail on the head here. It's crazy to think Wenger used to oversee everything. He used to do it all, right? Now we have so many people in the boardroom getting their input now, and what we have is mixed signals. You take one person away that's doing 8 jobs and put 8 people in there, you're not going to have the same fluidity, the same amount of success. Anyone else want to say something before we move on?
I feel sorry for the players and the staff in general because of what they're doing. It's going to mess up their heads thinking, oh, where am I going to be standing in all this? I feel nervous for the players because, they don't know what's going to happen now. Because obviously, because so many staff been let off, where does that leave the players? But at the same time, you can sort of see why they're doing it at the same time as well.
Anytime you have uncertainty in the boardroom, you're going to have a kind of a degree of uncertainty on the pitch as well, as the players are not quite sure even that they've been told the truth early on, in this whole situation. So it's not a good look, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But I think as a business, Arsenal had to change from, as Len said, from Wenger, and we're trying to transition that way. And we'll see what happens in the near future. But moving forward, let's talk about what Arteta has done with these players. Thanks, Ryan, for joining us. The Assembled, Gunnar Glenn, DWTT, and anyone else in the chat watching. So moving forward now, the last 6-7 months have been crazy. Lots of things have happened for the good. I think to start off with this, Usman, I'll go to you first. We had to start off with demoting Steve Bold and bringing Freddie Ljungberg in to be the head of the academy. So I'm pretty much going back to Emery days when Ljungberg was brought in, and maybe the club saw that we needed some kind of structure in case Emery was not going to work out.
It seemed to me that Arsenal didn't have a plan B before Emery got sacked. Because when I think of it, when they got in Emery, he was thinking, "Oh great, we got a manager that's gonna be here for the next 5 years." They weren't thinking about this situation was gonna fail because the previous one, which was Arsene Wenger, has been at the club for so long. And when the moment they saw everything wasn't going to plan, and looked like they were about to sack him, they didn't know who could they bring in next. So once he got sacked, bringing in Freddie Ljungberg in, I mean that was just an obvious thing to do because he was like the assistant coach, so he could come in and become the caretaker for the time being.
Yeah.
And when it came to like finding the next successor, it's safe to say like they just took the easy route and just getting a novice of a manager, someone that has little to no experience, never managed a football team in his life. And to this day, I still stick by it. Even though Mikel Arteta is promising, I still don't believe he's going to do much things for us because this is just his first job. He has to deal with everything else that's going on. And if you ask me, he's not going to be here for a long time.
No, he may be here for, I think, if things go well, he'll be here with us for 3 to 5 years. I take issue maybe in the fact that I think he has turned a bunch of uncoachables into an FA Cup winning team. A lot has happened. So Lundberg was hired as the head of the academy, and when Emery got sacked, Lundberg was promoted to be the first team coach, and Per Mertesacker became his assistant and subsequently became head of the academy. So Stan, help me make some sense out of this, Stan. And then Mikel Arteta was hired, and it was a risk at the time, right?
Oh, it was a huge gamble, I thought, because you're bringing in someone. I mean, I said it before, if it all goes wrong, if you get the gamble wrong and it doesn't work, where do you go from there? Because you started in the elite tier with Arsene Wenger, which I would call the elite tier. Then after that, you've gone to Emery, which is probably a tier down. Europa League, sold to us as a specialist that would guide us back into the Champions League through the Europa League. That didn't work. So we took a gamble and brought in a guy that had never done the job before. So if that doesn't work, where do you go from there? Because you can't just spring back up to the top tier. Where do you go from there? You go to Sam Allardyce or somewhere like that, Alan Pardew. I don't know. So
let's pray that doesn't happen. Like, it's definitely right. Where do we go from there? We can't just call phone Pep and say, listen here, we actually need a proper.
If it hasn't worked and we're in 8th place now, just scraping into the Europa League for an FA Cup win. If it hasn't worked, that means that we're going to be further down the table, right?
Yeah.
That's what it would mean. So then who do you attract at that stage? It's going to be very difficult. So it was a gamble, but it was also a gamble when Arsene Wenger turned up. I'd never heard of him. I'd never even heard of the team in Japan that he'd come from because there was no social media back then. I'd never heard of Grampus 8.
And this is the thing about Arsenal traditionally have never really gone for big names. You go back to George Graham, he came from Millwall.
That's right.
Bruce Rioch, a Bolton manager. Arsene Wenger, Arsene who? And then, we all knew about Mikel Arteta, but we did not know what he was going to be, how he was going to do. But we had an inkling under Pep. He would have learned something in those years.
I mean, he just thought, at the time, when I was looking at it, it was like, wow, we're going to bring in this guy that's never done this job before to manage Arsenal. And Frank Lampard is going to go to Chelsea, and he's at least had a season managing Derby. So I was thinking he's actually had more experience. It's a big gamble.
Yeah, and kind of the pretext to that was that Mikel Arteta came in on the back of Freddie Lundberg pretty much having to pick up the pieces. And, Freddie's record, not against him, but his record when he played those 6 games was not great. The team was in the shambles at the time. So a lot of restructuring going on in December.
Well, yeah, and I've said this before, just like Stan has said before, that you never want to be the guy that follows the legend. You want to follow the guy that follows the legend. Unai Emery was doomed from the beginning. That was an appointment that I thought reeked of desperation. There was a lot of talk at the time of Max Allegri coming in. I didn't really hear much about Ancelotti coming in at that time, but there were some big names, being bandied about to replace Arsene Wenger. And Unai Emery, honest to God, I think Unai Emery was – I think those that hired him really thought that this is probably the best we're going to do. He was never going to last here. It's too big a job for him. He's much better suited to a mid-table club, an Everton, maybe a Newcastle, or pull double duty as director of the academy and an assistant coach. And Freddie had no assistant coaches. Let's not forget that.
That's the point, Tanner, where they had to say that in the press conference. We need help.
Yeah,
it's just Freddie and Kerr.
I mean, that's how bad is that? That probably more than anything really makes me question the decision makers. You canned a guy and his assistants with no plan. Meanwhile, you saw the ship sinking. And what's your plan here? It's like, well, we're just going to let it go, and okay, all right, fire him. And then all of a sudden they're running around like headless chickens. Wait, we don't have a manager, we don't have any assistant coaches. What do we do now? So it was a bad situation for Freddie, and I felt really bad for him.
There's probably non-league clubs which will run better than that, right?
Yeah. Look, man, I could go to a non-league club and run the club better than what they were being run in October, November, December.
Steve Denman said Arteta will take Arsenal as far as the board let him, and I think you've been talking about it in the chats as well. I hope Arteta has some say in the signings.
There's going to be a massive power struggle coming at this club, because that is exactly right. And the powers that be, meaning Raul Sanllehi, are not going to let Mikel Arteta do what he wants to do. Raul Sanllehi is going to say, nope, I'm the guy with the black book. I'm the guy with the contacts. You're going to play the guys that I tell you to play. And I don't care what happens in this transfer window. We could sign Messi and Ronaldo. I don't care. And Mbappe, for that matter. I don't care. I bring in every world-class player that this club could possibly find a way to use. And I still want Raul Sanllehi gone. I do not like the things I'm hearing about this guy. I don't like the way that I don't like the direction that the club is headed. And that's not going to change. I'm not going to all of a sudden in 2 weeks, if we get Willian and get Aubameyang's contract extension and Thomas Partey done and Gabriel from Lille in France, and I don't care. I'm not going to be, Don Raul, woo. No, I want him gone. I don't like the guy. I want him gone. Stan, you know what? I'm going to turn into Tony with Granit Xhaka on this one.
I like the coaches. I like the coach. I like Arteta. I like his coaches. I like what Per's doing. But when you get above that into the iron building, let's say the boardroom, that's when things get a little dodgy. Darren, what's your take on all of this so far? Lumberg, Mertesacker, and Arteta.
Well, we're going to go back to our manager at the minute, how he's been. I kind of feel he's more. I didn't like him at first. I thought, is he going to take our club far? Is he going to take the team far? But he's one of those managers. He'll talk to his team. He talks to his team. But you got other managers. They'll just sit there like twiddle their thumbs and not.
Like Lampard.
Yeah, and it's like if you want your team to go far, talk to your team.
Yeah,
and I feel he does that a lot, and I think that's the last couple of games we've had. He's really pushed them, and that's why I'm worried about him. But it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in the new season.
Exactly.
If he's going to carry on doing that for the team.
I think he will. I think it's going to be. I think we're on the way back. December. Do you know that Dwight Gale was at the academy? He played with my son. Apparently, he was too small, but he had football intelligence. They let him go, and not one player they kept met it. So, just the behind-the-scenes story about how the club's been run. Don Juan, how are you? Stephen, it'll be the club that holds him back. And that'll be unfortunate, Mahir, if the club holds Arteta back.
Look, with the signings that we could possibly make within the next few days, I don't know if it's going to uplift the club. Willian, Saliba obviously coming in, Coutinho possibly coming in, and Gabriel. I like that banners. The banners are coming out. It's time to go.
Okay. Osman, give me the argument against Willian.
First of all, the obvious one. He's a Chelsea reject. Secondly, if I wanted a player from Chelsea, I'd rather take N'Golo Kante or Christian Pulisic.
Yeah, he's probably not on the table. None of those two are on the table.
Thirdly, he's 32 years old. We're not a retirement home, for the love of God. We are not a retirement home. It's not like we're WWE where the Undertaker can stay up until he's 60 years old and then decides to retire. And not only that, I would rather take Thomas Lamar, who scored 0 goals and few assists at Atletico Madrid, because if he can come here on loan and just try and work with him, he could recover a bit of his form. With Willian, for me, he's the second best player in Chelsea's team, but he's probably going to be past it by the time he comes to the club. Give him 1 year, he's finished.
Yeah. Don Juan, I was kind of talking about Benitez at the time as well, so of course we can admit we were wrong at the time. The Deadwood are going nowhere. Re-signing David Luiz has enough. Here's the counter argument to Usman, that Willian will probably be there for maybe 2 years, and he will be a bridge to help the younger players get more experience with Saka, who was noticeably not in 2 of the FA Cup games because of his quote-unquote inexperience, you know. I think that's the reason why he wasn't picked for the cup final. And he doesn't have to stay for 4 years. People are talking about Willian being here until 35. I think he's going to be here for a year or 2, and then he's going to move on. Willian, Tanner?
The other thing with Willian and Usman, the points are great. You're absolutely right. I'm not a massive fan of the signing. I am not 100% opposed to it either. It's a wait and see kind of deal. The David Luiz thing, I'm still 100% against that, but whatever. The Willian thing, number one, he's free. So number one, he's free. There's no money being put out that way. Number two, he's actually coming in on a lesser wage than what he was on at Chelsea. He's coming in at like £100,000 a week. It's 20,000 less than what he was on at Chelsea. And as far as I understand, it's a 2-year deal with the option of the third. Now, the only problem there is after the 2 years, you can't sell him. You have to make the decision. Do you let him go for free or do you give him that 3rd year? So the only thing there is you're not going to get anything from him. I was a much bigger fan of the signing if it were 3 years straight and then after 2 years you try to sell him, because quite frankly, that's money in your pocket if you sell him for, $7 million, let's say. And like Ray said, I think he's a bridge to the younger players, to Bukayo Saka. And look, Arteta has to build a squad here. He has to build a relatively big squad because we are going to be, well, at least in 3 competitions. I still haven't heard anything on the League Cup. I don't know if they're playing that or not this year because of the comp. So 3 competitions, but Arteta wants to get back into Champions League, and we're going to have 2 routes through the league and through Europa League to do that. So I think Arteta is really behind this, and I'm at the point right now where it's kind of like in Arteta I trust. So.
And Tanner, the thing is, as well, we are going to have games every 3 days, much like the restart has been. They're going to try and get through this league in 8 months rather than 9.5. And we are going to have games every 3 days, and we need to build a squad. And Usman, I think Willian is not going to go straight into starting 11. I think he's going to be more of a squad player.
But what gets me is that we're going for older players. Why aren't we going down looking to youth academy and bringing the young players, get them sort of a taste of it? And
I think Darren, we have a lot of young players. We have Joe Willock, we have Kieran Tierney, although he's probably not a young player anymore. We have Saka, Martinelli, and Nketiah. And we have maybe Emile Smith-Rowe, who I'm hopeful for will come back as well. So I think we have a lot of young players, Darren. And I think what we have is you're right, Darren, we have a lot of young players and we have a lot of aging players. And especially in midfield, we're very thin on the ground in midfield. Stan?
Yeah, the one thing about this whole Willian thing that I was reading a report yesterday. It was from a journalist in the Independent, and a lot of other publications have linked from it. The signing on fee, apparently. I still can't believe that this is true. £10 million.
Yeah,
I just can't get my head around that. And this is what the guy from the Independent was putting out, and a lot of other publications were quoting it as well. And I think, how can that be? How can that be correct? How can he be getting a £10 million signing on fee?
that is yet to be verified, I think, but I haven't heard that, Stan.
Yeah, it was everywhere yesterday. I was cross-referencing it as well because I was on the Easy Talk on Cannon Fodder, and I mentioned it there, and they queried it. So I brought it up while I was on air to have a look, and that's all I was seeing. It just doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right to me. But a lot of places are quoting that, so I don't get that. But my other question is, am I to believe then that Mikel Arteta, this young up-and-coming, hot coach, is going to Raul Cinielli and he is saying, okay, this is who I want us to bring in. I want us to extend David Luiz's contract by another year. You must do that for me. I want to keep him in the team. And I want you to also see if you can get me Willian from Chelsea. I'm not sure what's happening here. I mean, when Mikel Arteta got the job, I want to know what his remit was, what the agreement was when it comes to players. Is he a head coach and he's going to be given players by the board, like little presents, a couple of times a year? And are they going to take players away that they feel don't fit and they can make money on? And Mikel Arteta's just got to work his magic with what's in front of him. Or does Mikel Arteta get a say to say, well, no, I want to keep hold of this lad. I want to work him more in the team. Or does he get an opportunity to say, I want to buy a player? Because
that sounds really, really suspect. Even if you had no idea about football, you had nothing to do with football, like to a neutral who just follows sport. That sounds bloody suspect.
Well, I really hope it's not like what Don't Waste That Tweet is saying here. Arteta will show what he can do with one or two hands tied behind his back. Once they go for the legs, he'll leave, and we will have lost a good one.
But the thing is, I want to know is what is there must have been an agreement. Is he a manager? Is he a head coach? Is he just because let me use Ainsley Maitland-Niles as the example. Originally, it was Ainsley Maitland-Niles saying that he wasn't happy in the positions that he was playing in. He was out of the team for a while, and then he's come back into the team. He's been playing wherever he's been asked. He did say that he feels that he needs to be away from Arsenal to go somewhere else so that he can get regular minutes. He's been in the team. He's played well, and now the story is the player hasn't said, "I now want to stay." He's not said that. He looks happy, but he's not said that. The manager is saying that he wants the player to stay, but the club are saying he's on the transfer list. So is that the real story, or is it Mikel Arteta doesn't want him because he's still got a sour taste in his mouth because he gave him a little bit of grief about verbally saying, I don't like playing here, I don't like playing there, I need to get minutes away. But he doesn't want to, the old Vince McMahon, it's not me, it's Triple H. I want to keep you. It's them that don't want to keep you. What's going on? Because it just sounds really confusing to me. If he wants the player to stay, and can the board override him and say, well, tough, we're selling him? That's why we signed that's why we went out and signed Cedric Suarez on a 4-year deal. He's the new replacement in that position.
I find it hard to believe that Ainsley Maitland-Niles will be sold. I do really find that hard to believe. Anyone disagree with me? I think he's staying at the club. He's not going to be leaving. I think it's paper talk.
Yeah, the story is that he's on the transfer list. He's been told he's going on the transfer list. Yeah. But Mikel Arteta is saying that I want him to stay. So there seems to be a conflict there.
Yeah.
The thing is,
I think you're right, and there will be a few kinks to be ironed out in this transfer window. It's a very, very important window coming up for us. And Mikel Arteta will want to have some say and not be sold down the river a little bit, And, I think he's going to be working with Edu more than Raul, and Edu will be the buffer between Raul and Arteta in this whole situation.
Yeah, but let's not forget that Edu's agent is he's linked with Kia Volkswagen. So
Yeah,
I
Are we never
again,
gonna-
it just I hate this. This is nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah.
The way that what the club are doing with this, and if I'm the head coach and I go to the board and I say, look, I want to keep this player. This is a guy that I can work with. This is a guy I can build around, namely Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And they say, tough, we're selling him if a good offer comes in. Okay, so wait, so it's Bellerin and Suarez? Then no, you're not going to say Suarez isn't getting sold. I'd be utterly shocked if we give him a 4-year contract only to turn around and sell him.
I actually thought in this conundrum it would be Bellerin that's getting sold. Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Suarez would be your right back options. James here is echoing what a lot of the fan base is thinking. We're signing a 32-year-old on a 3-year contract, paying him over 100 grand a week, but we are still making all these redundancies. Absolute joke. Spurs are laughing at us, surely.
But he's not a reject now, is he? Because Chelsea actually want to keep him.
Yeah, Chelsea wanted to keep him. They just weren't willing to go to that 3rd year. And again, the rumor that I'm hearing is, and again, just a rumor, but it's a 2-year deal with the option of a 3rd. So if he shits the bed in his first 2 years or in that 2nd year, we don't have to give him the 3rd year. Now, if the signing on bonus is legit, then that kind of defeats the purpose of bringing in a player on a free, does it not? I understand signing bonuses, but
I gotta say something, but Chelsea's situation sounds ridiculous because when he got to the last 2 to 1 year left on his contract, Chelsea should have been saying, right, let's get into contract negotiations. Okay, so before the last year, they should have been negotiating for him to get a contract. When it came to last year, if no deal was made, they should have sold him. I don't understand how their own situation got to where it was now. So clearly, it's Chelsea's fault that Willian is going to leave for free, but still at the same time, Arsenal's more stupid for taking an old person. Where, if I'm not wrong, Chelsea are looking to try and get someone called Said Benrahma, and I'm interested in getting him rather than getting William. So it's going to make us look more of a fool, and God help this club. That's all I can say. God help us.
BWTT, are we going to become this retirement club where in 2 years from now, Willian will be saying he wants to stay like Kolasinac and Socrates have just said they want to fight for their place, Dan. They want to fight for their place.
I'm just reading it here. The Independent's Miguel Delaney also reports that the club have offered Willian a signing-on fee of £10 million, a benefit offered to players moving for free in lieu of a transfer fee going to the selling club. That just sounds like a lot of money to me. £10 million. There you go.
Because you're never going to sell him. You're never going to sell him for £10 million.
Because originally I heard that the salary was going to be $200,000 a week. I didn't hear nothing about a signing-on fee. Now it's a low salary; it's like 100 grand a week, but then it's being compensated by this huge signing-on fee. So basically, he's on 200 grand a week. If you break it down, he's on 200 grand a week, right? That's how I'm looking at it. This is true, but I mean that's a story that.
Him to do that.
That's a story that a lot of other articles are linking to and quoting back to. So I mean, that's breathtaking to me.
Simon Hill, you're not talking to the Arsenal Realist anymore. I've got no beef with anyone, Simon. No beef at all. All cool. Don Juan, another shady deal with Suarez from Southampton. We have Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who I believe is better and younger. And real
Southampton player.
Who's that?
We took the wrong Southampton player.
Who should we have taken?
Anyone promising, that is.
Ruel Carvey, very nice to see new faces in here. I'm not a fan for the Willian deal, but it is not a loss. It is a gain if you measure him against all of our wide players. Does anyone know what Willian's output was this season?
I think it's 8 goals, 5 assists, if I'm not mistaken, guys.
I think also with Willian, the writing was on the wall there for him as well. This is Usman said, why did Chelsea basically do what we've been famous for doing here in the past few years, which is letting contracts run down and not getting offers in to the players before they're allowed to move on. But this is the exception, not the rule at Chelsea. I think they wanted to see how some of the other business that they wanted to get done in the transfer window would go before making the final decision on Willian. They did want to keep him. They just weren't willing to give that third year. But they're not, Hakeem Ziyech, Timo Werner. If they get the Kai Havertz deal over the line, I don't. Man, that 10 million thing's going to stick in my craw, Dan. I really wish you would have told me that. Because up until that point, I'm like, this isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, he should have a little bit of sell-on value at the end of 2 years. I mean, maybe we could get 7 million for him, maybe 10 million. But if we're giving him a £10 million signing on bonus, you can't sell. You're not going to sell him for that. So what's the point? So he's going to end up leaving Arsenal for free, and we get nothing for him, and we gave him. £200,000 a week for 2 years.
Sure.
So he's going to make almost 21 million pounds off this club in 2 years.
So I've got his stats here if you're interested.
Yeah.
So his first season, 36. This is just the Premier League. 36 matches, 2 goals, 3 assists. The following season, 35 matches, 5 goals, 6 assists. The next season, 34 matches, 8 goals, 2 assists. The next season, 36 matches, 6 goals, 7 assists. The next season, which was last season, 32 matches, 3 goals, 6 assists. This season, 36 matches, 9 goals, 7 assists.
I just want to put in one caveat to this season. 9 goals, did you say, Stan?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know how many of those were penalties, because didn't Pulisic win like 2 or 3 penalties right at the very beginning of the restart, and Willian took them and converted? But, so God bless him for that. But, yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Alex over at Cannon Fodder TV. They've recently surpassed 3,000 subscribers. So big up to you, Alex.
Come on, my G.
Keep grinding, and that's what happens when you keep moving. Putting content out there that people like, and that's what you do, Alex. And you do it in your own fashion, your own style. So big up for you. Big up to you on that one.
Also, the video profiles that he does on his channel are very good. He does like player profiles.
Yeah.
And I've been supporting Arsenal for quite a long time, and there's things that even I'm finding out about players that I didn't even know. So they're really interesting.
Yeah, congratulations, Alex. Good job, man. Well done. Well deserved.
Okay, so go ahead, Tanner.
No, I was just going to throw out real quick, if I may, a front three next season of Willian on the left, Aubameyang through the middle, and Pepe out on the right.
I don't think that makes us stronger, though. That's what I'm saying. I really don't think Willian is going to start every game.
I don't think he's going to start every game, but I'll tell you what. I think he's going to start more of the big games than Saka does right off the bat. At some point, Saka's going to overtake him for that big game kind of role. But if Arteta is behind the move, I'm behind the move. Period. I don't like the money if what Stan is saying is true. I don't. But at the end of the day, it's not my money. So
exactly. Darren, what do you think about Willian?
I'm excited for him to come over. It'd be good to see how he works alongside the front, the front crew,
or even younger players. He's going to help to bring them along as well, right?
Yeah.
and Martinelli.
Yeah, especially with Tierney as well. You know, he's quite a passionate, fast-paced player as well. So having those two, yeah, I think would benefit for our team. Definitely, so good to see how he works.
Yeah, good stuff, Darren. Stan, we're bringing maybe a player who knows how to train hard in the same kind of manner as Kieran Tierney knows how to train hard. Basically, you train the way you're going to play on the Sunday or the Saturday, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, are you talking about Kieran Tierney?
I'm talking about Kieran Tierney and adding similar kinds of players. Maybe the Edu knows Willian from the Brazil setup, and maybe knows his personality, his makeup, his mentality.
He's a funny one, Willian, with the Chelsea fan base. From what I gather, he's like Marmite. You've got half of the fan base that really like him. They really appreciate what he does for them. Apparently, he does a lot of stuff before the goal when he assists. He moves the ball quite a lot. He moves the ball up the pitch. So the assist and the goals might not reflect compared to the games that he plays, but the fact that he keeps getting a lot of games says that he must be doing something. But then you've got the other half of their fan base. They don't like him whatsoever. They think he's a waste. They want him out. They think he's rubbish. They think they don't see anything with him. So he's split evenly, I would say, 50-50 down the Chelsea fan base. But you look at a lot of fans outside of Chelsea, and I hear a lot of people saying that they really like Willian. And he's kind of, I suppose, he had to kind of live in the shadow of Eden Hazard a bit. You know, because they were basically fighting for the same place, and Eden Hazard was getting most of the spotlight. But I've always liked Willian. You know, when they got him, I thought he was a good player. But you're getting a player at 32.
Yeah, I mean,
you never know if the legs are going to bust out after one season. It's a gamble.
Yeah, if you ask me, it's definitely a gamble. Is he a player that we really need? Maybe not. He's 32 now. He's just turned 32. You've just told me his output is basically some kind of goal involvement once every 3 games. So he's going to play 3 games, and he'll either have a goal or an assist in those 3 games. That's not outstanding to me. But here's the caveat. But is Arteta's just won the FA Cup, so in my mind, he's got that leeway to do what he wants pretty much. If Arteta's behind this, then I'm behind it because I can see us going forward. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, as Rule Carvey has said, is one of our most important players. He has the flexibility to play several positions well, which Arteta likes in his plans. And I think we're just talking about this struggle that's going on. The club wants to sell certain players where maybe Arteta wants to keep them. You know?
But Ainsley Maitland-Niles hasn't turned around and says, I now want to stay. I'm really happy. The last thing he said was that he believed he needed to leave Arsenal in order to get minutes. So, I mean, it's a confusing one. We don't know what the player actually wants. Does he still want to go? Has he changed his mind? Does Mikel Arteta want to keep him? Have the board already made a decision? We don't care. We want to turn a profit on him. I'm quite confused about that Ainsley Maitland-Niles situation, to be honest. I don't know what the plan is. Always tell us that there is a plan and it's a clear one.
Do you think there is something behind the story from James from the Sun here? I don't think so. I don't think Tottenham are looking for Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're getting into silly season as well, right, Tanner?
Yeah, I want to go back to what Stan was saying about Willian real quick in the divide in the Chelsea fan base, and I think this exists in pretty much every fan base. You're going to have fans who I don't want to be insulting and say they don't understand the game, but you're always going to have a portion of any fan base who are going to look at goals and assists. Period. The end. That's the end all be all. If they're not providing at an elite level, then move them on. And these are people who, like I said, I don't want to be insulting and say they don't understand the game, but that's all they look at. That's all they focus on. And then there's the other side of the fan base, I think probably more like most of us here, or all of us here, we're a little more analytical. And we can see, because I'm with Stan, I think Willian is a very good player. As long as he keeps his legs, I think he can be a very good player. I think he can be a very dangerous player. Every time he gets the ball against us, I'm like, here we go. He's got the ball. Somebody go get him, please. He's dangerous with the ball. I would be curious to know how many tertiary or secondary assists he actually has. The assist before the assist. Even a tertiary assist, the assist before the assist before the assist. Now, I don't want to go too crazy here, but the fact is there is build-up play, and he's very good at the build-up play. He's a dangerous player. He has pace. He is creative. He just seems like he's much more confident on his right foot and on the right side to me than he is on now. Putting him out left means he can cut back into the middle a little bit more. But he's always struck me as being a more, I don't know which his strong foot is, to be honest with you. But he's always seemed to play out wide on the right at Chelsea, and he was always dangerous out there. I don't think he comes here and gets much time on the right unless he's out playing Pepe, and it's a hot hand kind of situation with with who Arteta decides to pick. But that was pretty much all I wanted to say. And yeah, to your point, Ray, silly season is. Look, Arsenal, at last count, I think I had Arsenal linked with like 817 different players in the transfer market right now, some of whom don't even exist. They're not even real names.
It's actually 818 now. And one
is it 8? Okay.
Who's been on air, one's been added.
Okay. It's that Thiago Almada kid out of Argentina that I've been shouting about. Finally, somebody heard me, and they're now linked with him. No.
Yeah. Carlos Kickable from Argentina.
What's that?
Carlos Kickable from Argentina.
Yes. Well done. It's silly season, man. And I've said this before. You have to take everything that you read on Twitter with the ITKs, the in the knows, even the European journalists, man. Everything they say, anything I see them put out, I take with a giant pinch of salt. So, Stan, that was for you. Again.
Just to touch on your point on what you said about, sometimes people just look at goals and assists and they compare that to matches played. I'll tell you a player that comes to mind like that, Thomas Sleb. Thomas Sleb didn't have a high assist or goal output, but if he was fit, you'd get into the team every time. And there's a reason why Barcelona wanted him from us, right?
Yeah. Influence the game. That's what we need to look for. We need to look for influencers of the game. And I think Willian can have an influence on the game. I also think, like Ray said, I don't think he's going to start every game. I think right off the bat he's going to start the bigger games, but I think it's going to be a bit of a less is more with him as well. Not less games, but not playing every game. So this is going to be a year, I think, for a good, strong squad rotation because the matches are going to keep coming.
Yeah, squad rotation is needed because we're going to be in Europe and we are going to play every 3 games. And Willian will not play every game.
Right.
He's going to be a squad player. Look at our FA Cup team, and we could put 11 good players on the field. But once you start looking at our substitute bench, especially with Ozil and Guendouzi being knocked out of contention for various reasons, our subs bench was very, very bare at that time, So I think Willian is going to be a squad player. Yes, he's going to play games, but he's not going to start every game, and I wouldn't have him on the left-hand side every game either. Personally, he can play on the right, and he can give Pepe a little bit of competition as well. I think he's going to be a utility player as well. Istanbul Arsenal fans didn't rate Gilberto, but when he left the middle of the midfield, has never been right. So maybe Willian might be all right. And the effect of Mikel Arteta, we kind of got caught up in talking about Willian for a little bit there. The effect of Mikel Arteta coming into the club and just shaking things up. A couple of quotes come to mind. Do we have the drones, Dan? Do we have the drones? So
I lost you there for a bit.
The headline that the the soundbite that I always have in my mind is when he went in to meet Mertesacker. Arteta comes to the club for the first day. Do we have the drones, Per? Do we have the drones?
I don't get it. Sorry.
It was just Arteta's way of shaking things up. Arsenal had been in this culture where I think people just turned up under Arsene Wenger and did their own thing. And Mikel Arteta came in and he was ready to go to work first day on the job.
Okay. I agree. I don't get it. So I don't. Maybe it's a visual thing. I just don't get the analogy. Sorry.
No, I'm just coming back to where Mikel came in and took the reins. Usman?
Yeah, Usman, go ahead.
I'll explain it to him. So Arsenal have a YouTube channel, and there's a video called Mikel Arteta's first day as being the coach. So it showed him greeting every part of the staff,
everyone at the club,
the coaching staff, and then he went into a room where he had all the computers, had all the devices, the cameras, and all that stuff. And when he said, "Oh, do we have the drone?" because he wants like footage of the players in training.
Oh, right.
So that he can show it to them, be like, okay, this is what you're doing in training, whether it's right or wrong, and this is what he wants them to do during training, if you know what I mean now.
Yeah, I suppose I had to have been there.
It was really had to be in their situation, Stan. Sorry about that. That was way back in December. So this was Mikel Arteta showing from day one that he wanted things to change. He wanted the paradigm to change.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I know you talked about when the first press conference, Stan. You remember that one?
Yeah, it's talking about shaking trees.
Shaking trees, and when the trees were shaking, we can still withstand that. So, how do you think Arteta's done in the subsequent 6-7 months?
Well, he just won us our 14th FA Cup. Do you know what I mean? In a season where, you know, just a few months before that, I was walking around going, "This is the worst season I've ever seen from Arsenal ever. Worst season ever."
Exactly. In living memory.
I mean, reasons that I'm not even going to start reeling them off now because that's a whole new show in itself. So
for you and I, we could probably go back to the 1994-95 season, right?
To walk away with like an FA Cup and to have us back in European competition, it's surely the board. It must be more than they expected, what they hoped for, but to actually get it, it's phenomenal. You know, it's phenomenal. His first season, it's not even his first season, right? His first half a season that was disrupted and disjointed. He's walked away with the oldest trophy in football. I mean, that's no mean feat. And the teams that we, you know, it's not like we had an easy ride and we were playing sort of like teams like Wrexham and Accrington Stanley to get through to the final. We had quite a few big trees to chop down to get there, and we did it. You know, I'm really pleased, but my biggest worry is what I highlighted earlier is that I'm really worried about what his actual remit is, whether he's agreed to a remit and now he's at a stage where he's thinking, you know what, I don't want that remit anymore. I actually want to have a say in who I keep and who goes out. It all sounds very confusing on that side of it, and I just hope that this isn't going to muddy the waters when we should be riding high now. You know, we should be riding high. And, you know, we go back to the job dismissals. It's, you know, everything's just taken a nosedive after it feels like it was like a day and a half, 2 days. And just as it looked like the fan base was all becoming one again and everybody was being all cuddly and fluffy on Arsenal football Twitter, it's almost like the people at Arsenal went, "This is far too happy."
Yeah, it was 8 days ago. We did win the cup 8 days ago.
We'll show them. Let's put this statement out about the dismissal. Let's get it back to, you know, and let's get more chaos. You like the chaos. It's crazy.
Pour cold water on it. Tanner, I know you got to go, so I'll bid you good farewell.
See you later.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thanks, Tanner.
You're on mute. We can't hear you.
I'm brushing up on my lip reading right now.
Rookie, I don't know how I ever actually pulled off doing my own channel, doing this stuff. I'll never know. Thanks, Ray. Appreciate it, Darren. Good to meet you finally. We'll talk soon. Mahir Usman, always a pleasure, guys. Stan, we'll chat soon as well, bud.
See you later, mate.
See you
Check
guys.
these
Up
guys
the
out.
Arsenal.
48 hours from now, Tanner, right? 2 days. You go. Is it on Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday night. Again, just half hour, 45 minutes. Quick little transfer recap, update of everything that's going on. Hopefully, there's a little bit of news to talk about, and the club have confirmed a few things. So, but I'm sure more Willian discussion.
More Willian discussion.
more Willian discussion. Aubameyang's contract, and maybe even some Gabriel Magalhaes. I don't know how you say his last name. Magalhaes.
Yeah,
Magalhaes.
Let's go with Gabriel.
I think
Gabriel. There we go. Well, we already have one, so that's hard to do. But all right, boys. Keep it up. We'll talk soon, guys. Thanks. See ya.
Yeah. So that was the drone stand. I think he just sort of put everyone on their toes. Things are going to change under Arsene Wenger, under Unai Emery. It was a new dawn was coming, and things were going to change. Mahir, what do you think so far? Anything to add?
So far so good. I mean, with Arteta, I like the things he says. I Stan Usman, Darren. You guys know me, right? I wasn't one for Arteta. I wanted an actual coach. I wanted a Diego Simeone, a Max Allegri, an actual coach to come and take us to that next level straight away.
Me too.
I was kind of expecting that. But, I'm very pleased with what Arteta does, what he's done so far. He's made players that were below average just hit the border of just above average. Players like the Xhakas of the world, a lot. There's been quite a few. Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I like to think Tony said, don't interrupt Usman while he's eating. Please, guys. A lot of average players perform, to average standards at the moment. But
yeah, what he's done is he's raised the
standards
level. He's raised the level of really bad players, players who played in a cup final. Granit Xhaka, David Luiz to a certain extent, Rob Holding, who wasn't playing great, but I think he played very, very well. And he got these players to such a level they were never dropped below 7 for the cup final.
You thought some of them were never going to play for Arsenal again.
Our better players were the unsellables were able to go and win the game. Aubameyang, and hopefully he's going to sign the contract pretty soon. So Arteta's really turned the club around. Here's the thing, Stan. Ruel said, do not be surprised if Pepe's moved to the 10 role, or at least, I know, Stan, you're in favor of 2 up front. Could you see Aubameyang and Pepe playing together up front?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. But you do like 2 up top, right?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think Pepe would be the one to do it.
All right. Yeah, I saw that video.
Are you full now, Usman? Nice and full? Yeah?
Well, don't shame the guy for eating. Oh, good.
Yeah, he's a good wild. That's wild, mate. Just having, he's just sat down his dinner on the podcast. That's brilliant.
Tony has done that.
That's you can do that.
We try not to laugh for ages. That's why I'm smiling.
Tony took his crisp with him as well. He was like that guy in the movie theater, Russell and his bag of crisps.
Tony and his crisp packet right next to the microphone.
Oh, and you have a partner there.
Yeah, the other day we were eating big bags of Doritos. I forgot who it was. Somebody was eating also a big bag. We're like, yeah, dude. You try this.
Usman was like, God damn. That was lovely, man. Getting right in there.
Stan and I have had some good moments on this podcast over the months,
Yeah.
Remember the time where he was like, and that's all I've got to say, and my internet sort of like spazzed down a little bit. And I hesitated. But now you have Tony saying, don't feel alone, Stan. The drone thing went over his head too. So it's okay. I thought everybody knew about the drone, Darren. Did you know about the drone?
Nope. No.
Don't try to make Stan feel better. Tony, Willian is a horrible deal at 3+1. Correct. I'll agree with that. Does not mean though that he's going to be with us. And what dish are we having, Usman?
Macaroni and chicken.
Is it nice? Is it nice? Believe
You
me,
don't
guys.
have to answer all the host questions. You can say next if you want. Macaroni and chicken. Check it out, everyone.
But do you know what? Do you know what the ironic thing is, right? I'm sitting here, right, and I'm absolutely Hank Marvin, mate. I am starving. I can't wait till we finish so I can have something to eat.
Stan, why didn't you excuse yourself a few minutes, bro? You can come and eat on
Yeah,
your
You know why? Because I'm a professional. That's why.
Oh man. What a gentleman.
We do like some. We're only allowed one member of this family to eat while we're having a podcast. And Usman was you today.
Oh, yeah.
Don one said you were licking your chops there, Usman.
Hey, you can't let anything go to waste. Anything you have on your plate,
It was like,
every single bit of
I
it.
remember the last time you was on, Usman. The last time you was on, right? You spent ages combing all your hair up, and then when you finished, you put a hat on.
The thing is, I thought what I was doing was not working, so I was like, "Hey, you know what? Let me just put on the hat." But then when I looked at the chat and the chat was just laughed at me, I was like, "No."
But you guys are too good at the time, right? You took so much time brushing it all up. You was talking, and I was like mesmerized. I was like watching you combing it for ages. I was mesmerized, and then you finished, and you put a hat on.
Maybe I should have put it on.
Finishing touches.
It's kind of defeated the object. Just brushing the hair.
Give us a really good question so we can move on from this. Tony was like, it took 20 minutes to do that, and then he put a hat on. Sorry, Usman. Usually we pick on Mahir at this segment, this part of the show. But Mahir's getting off scot-free today.
Just remind me not to be on here or to get picked on.
I know. Look, Darren, we really appreciate and we love that you've become part of our family here at Arsenal Fan Circle, you know?
And Darren, you've been private messaging me thinking that you're not doing great. I think you're doing great. So everyone in the comments give Darren a big up, please. He's doing
I'm like the new kid in school. Never sort of sat there like that. Like,
Nothing.
Don't worry. There's only one professional on the show, and I give him all the difficult questions. Right, Stan?
Yeah. That should be.
That's how it should be. The brand knows everything, right?
A little bit.
Stan the brand. If you haven't heard, check it out. He's everywhere. They seek him here, they seek him there. DWTT.
Right. You're not going to get any. When are you going to get paid for this podcast stuff we're always doing? I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
No, we all do this for the love of the game, right?
Exactly.
Right? And goddamn it, you got to eat sometimes as well, right? DWTT, how will Pepe put that cross into Abe if they play him up top? Not happening. Okay, it was just a suggestion. Arsenal can do a lot of things with what they have with this squad. Stan, you can't play FIFA on professional.
No, I can't.
That was the greatest thing ever. Tony got a kick out of Usman. Okay, Tony. Next up, watching Usman eat. Today's meal, spaghetti and meatballs. Sorry, I derailed the show. Hey, we won the FA Cup, everyone. Let's distract everyone from what just happened the last 5 minutes. Let's talk Ozil. All right, Mahir, let's talk about Ozil. Doing it, Glenn. Thanks for the question. Ozil, are we going to buy him?
Get out of our club. Get out of our club. You waste of money. Get out of our club.
Listen, let's ask Darren. Darren, what's your stance on Ozil?
I like him. I like him as a player, and I kind of wish that he was on the pitch a lot more. There's obviously a reason why he's not playing, but when he's on the pitch, he can play, and you can't hold that against him. So I'm hoping in the new season they'll play him more. I don't know. That's just
What
my.
was you feeling about Ozil when he was playing away from home up north, especially, in the more difficult ties?
Oh, Darren, you're doing so well. You're doing so well, Darren. You were doing so well, right? Up until just a few seconds ago, when you said about,
Hey, he's entitled to his opinion, Stan. We got one Ozil. Usman, what's your take on Ozil?
I love Ozil as a person and a player. And bonus, he is a fellow Muslim. It is a bonus. But it's unfortunate that he doesn't fit into the coach's plans. And it's not that he's a terrible player, just that the time he was in a dip of form, age was already coming towards him. Age is like, oh yes, Mr. Ozil, I'm coming for you right now.
Hey,
You've been playing well,
oh my
but
God.
now I'm gonna take your performances like my name is the Grim Reaper.
Is he older than Aubameyang? Usman, is he older than Aubameyang?
I think he's older than Aubameyang. While you're talking, I'll just check for the age.
I don't age in this conversation is not a factor, right, Stan?
I feel like I'm being punked. You two, it's like I'm being punked. Like now Usman's saying about Ozil. I mean, where's all this Ozil love coming from? I mean, I defended him. I did defend him. I defended him at the beginning of the show about the pay thing and that. But my God, on the pitch, I mean, it's over. It's just over, isn't it? I've heard that they're taking the number 10 away from him next season as well.
They want to buy him out of his contract. I heard a few reports today. They want to buy him out of his contract of this last year, so we can just leave and just.
Well, if you do that right, you don't have to give him that 18 million in one lump sum and say thank you. You can just say go, and every month, like if you get paid on a monthly basis, every month money will go into your account.
Unemployment fund.
Sorry.
No, Tony would defend you, Stan, but apparently I benched him. No, Tony, like I said, there can only be one panel member eating food on the show. Today it was Usman. Next week it might be you, Tony. Get your popcorn ready, Tony, for next week. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it, really. I mean, it's done. We won the FA Cup without him. We beat Liverpool, Man City without him. What?
Yeah.
Why would you bring him in from the cold now?
Yeah. Darren, do you expect that the club and Ozil are going in different directions?
Sorry, say again. Sorry.
Do you accept that the club and Ozil are going in different directions?
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I'm not saying that I'm a massive fan of it. I mean, if he goes, he goes. If he does, he doesn't.
Right.
He won't be missed.
Yeah.
Has he finished yet?
You see, but I don't think he'll be missed. Darren, it's just very unfortunate that we had a player of his quality and we were excited when he came in. Yeah. But the unfortunate thing is, and the truth of it is, he's only had 2 good seasons. We would have loved for him to constantly perform since what was it, 2012, 2014, maybe, guys?
We're now going to his 8th season, I believe. His 8th season.
Oh my goodness. So it's not 2 out of 6, it's 2 out of 8.
It's going to be 8. Starting 8 now. We're going to be starting 8.
Darren, we would have wanted him to become a legend, somewhat like Oba is. That's somebody that came in and has constantly been throughout his whole career assisting. If it's 10 assists, 10 to 20 assists, even here, that I'm surely would have gotten us into multiple. We wouldn't have been out of the Champions League for the past 3 to 4 seasons. You know,
We assembled
I think this is our
also
time to pass, so
the fans when
our
Sanchez.
team can get where it needs to go, back to where we need to be. You know?
Okay, so that's Ozil. Darren kind of likes Ozil. Usman kind of sort of likes Ozil, and the rest of us, I think, we're finished with the Ozil chapter. The Bob's going to move on. Stan, what do you think about let's not get bogged down on William. What do you think about the overall strategy for who we're going to get in? What's your hopes for the window coming up? And we're only 1 week into it. It's very early days. You got to remember that.
Well, there's that. There's the one name in there, Thomas Partey. That's the one that.
Yeah.
You know, I hope he's going to turn out to be like another Kieran Tierney. That you know, we keep going back with more bids until eventually we just wear down Atletico Madrid and we can get him. But I mean, it's obvious that we're going to have to pay what they want.
Yeah.
But I don't see any problem. I mean, the amount of people that we've got on the transfer list, you know, that I've heard that Arsenal are willing to listen to do business with, we should be able to get the money. And I was just thinking as well, just want to circle back a minute. It just popped into my mind. Do you think that when the club decided that they were going to release the 55 people, whatever, do you think there was a conversation and one of them went, well, hold on a minute, the players ain't going to like it? Because you remember at the beginning of the season, you know, we told them that if they take the pay cut, we won't get rid of anyone. And then Raul turned around and says, yeah, but we're going to fucking sack all of them. Look, so it doesn't matter. We're going to get rid of most of these players. So they can come and complain if they want, but most of them are going on the transfer list. So what? You see what I'm getting at? A lot of these players next season. So complain as loud as you want because you're getting sold anyway. Do you think that could be like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and the harsh reality may be that we're going to sell some players that we maybe want to keep, and we're still going to have some of those crew that we're not very attached to at this point. We want sold, you know?
Well, Mustafi, I've got a smile now because he's becoming really resilient, isn't he? I mean, they say that when a nuclear bomb goes off, cockroaches, they'll still be alive. I reckon Squadron Mustafi will also be alive when a nuclear bomb goes off because he's hanging in there. I mean, they probably won't be able to move him on now because he's got an injury, which could see him get his contract extended so that you look ahead to try at some point move him on again and get some money back in. But there's not really many players to this team that I'm attached to.
Well, exactly. We've said that before, right? You could count on less than one hand. Probably
listening to offers from nearly 3/4 of the team. I think that they're happy to listen to offers for. If the right offers come in, they'll listen.
WTT, Stan, do you think management are that smart to be able to get it past the players, you know? Darren, who are the players that you're willing to let go in order to get some transfers in?
Also, it makes Stan feel better.
Now, if you said Ozil, it would make Stan feel better, but you have your opinion and you can stick to it as well.
No, exactly. I mean, I respect all opinions from Gooners. I might not agree with all of them. Do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people out there that don't agree with mine, but I'm quite set in my ways when it comes to Mesut, Darren. That's just what.
I've too many podcasts saying the same thing, and he's for him to change his stance on Ozil, and nor should he. You know what I mean?
Well, I think with me, I think Holding maybe is one that I'm. And this might be an unpopular one. I'm going to say maybe Leno, because how we've done so far with who we've got in a minute, who we've used.
Yeah.
You know, could we let go of him? I mean,
yeah, but that's an interesting topic that everyone is talking about. For me, I would like to keep the 2 goalkeepers if not possible, but yeah, Bernd Leno is possible as well. Martinez has come out and said he wants to be a part of the team full term, and if he's not going to be in the team, he's going to move on. Usman, who would give us 3 players you wouldn't hate letting go, Usman?
Socrates,
Okay.
Granit Xhaka.
Well, they're easy targets. Yeah, give me one that might be a little controversial then in your third.
Controversy. Controversy. Very, very controversial.
Would you like over Torreira or would you like over Lacazette? Guendouzi?
Yeah, Guendouzi. Yeah, Guendouzi can go.
Usman, what's your take on our transfer dealings? I'm quite hopeful that Gabriel is going to be a decent player. I think we're going to get Partey in the end once their Champions League involvement comes to an end.
When it comes to Arsenal, I have no hope in them in the transfer window. I won't believe anything unless it's actually been done.
Yeah.
I've heard of Gabriel, never seen him play before. Just had to go and watch a few highlights of it. He's okay, but not one I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. If he comes in, okay. Thomas Partey would be great. If we don't get him, I won't be surprised. I heard there's Amadou Diawara from Roma. Could be a decent one. Willian, get out of here. Coutinho, looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I think we get a Partey, we get a Gabriel. That's two players, Stan, that we can probably hang our hat on for this season that could do well in the squad.
So we're supposed to be like skin, and we're supposed to be outsmarting the market, but you're looking at paying what 27 million euros or pounds, I don't know what it is, for the lad Gabriel, the left-footed central defender.
Yeah.
When you've got Mangala Sarr, a left-footed central defender, who's available for free, isn't that outsmarting the market? Or is it that the other guy has an agent or connections that are in the club? Because to me, if you're going to outsmart the market, you'd go for the one that's on available for free. Same age, plays in the same part of the world, same foot, and is a good player. He's not free because he's like coming to the end of his career. This is a young lad that, you know, has decided that he wanted to move and didn't sign a contract. That's where I'd be focusing my efforts on. You save yourself 27 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it would be smart to get him if we could offload other centre backs. But since we're not really getting most of them out of here, I think trying to get Gabriel would be the smart move they're looking at. I don't agree with it. I would get Balangsar too. Probably because I've only realized who he was back in FIFA 18 and how awfully good he was in career mode. But we just have to see what happens.
Can I just answer a question for Don't Waste a Tweet has asked me, is our management smart? I'll answer it like this. We sold Jeffrey Adelaide and sanctioned a sale for him to a team in France. Can't remember who it was now, but it was somewhere around...
Algiers.
So who was it? Auxerre?
Algiers, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It was around about £1.2 million, a number around that figure. Yeah. 8 months later, they sell him on for £22.5 million.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that was missed, how you miss a trick like that, how you let a lad go for just over £1 million, and he's then valued 8 months later at £22.5 million. That's bad management. Piss poor management. Supposed to have people.
We have no confidence.
You know, we're supposed to be outsmarting the market. Yeah. We're letting the market pull our pants down, bending us over its knee, and then smacking our bums until it's red raw. That's what the market is doing to us at the moment.
We have no confidence in being able to move on players that are on over 100 grand a week that are not in the team. So until something happens in that direction, we need to move some players on. And I think that would be more exciting in this window rather than getting players in, to be brutally honest.
The only good deal I can think of that comes to mind recently, when I think of when have we done a good deal where we got some good money in on a player and we've come out of that, feeling good? Iwobi. I'm talking about like selling, like money that we get. Iwobi is the only one that I can think of. Other than Iwobi, when was the one before that? I can't think of any. Players go for whatever we let them go for. Most of them go for free these days. They didn't get nothing for Aaron Ramsey. They go to our rivals. We have no control when players leave us. We just don't have any. Yeah, Ox as well. We got some good money for Ox and Awobi. But other than that,
That's it. That's it.
and again, Ox went to one of our rivals. He went to strengthen one of our rivals.
Yeah. I really don't want to sell in a goalkeeper to Chelsea. That would be my worst case scenario. That Bernd Leno goes to Chelsea. I don't want to see that happen. Oh, we give you Willian. We'll take Bernd Leno.
Why are we even talking about selling Bernd Leno? I don't understand that either. I mean, it's almost like Arsenal fans see a snapshot of a goalkeeper over 10 games and they think he's like the Casillas reborn. Have you forgotten, like what Leno has done for us in the longer period of time?
I don't think we've
It's a
forgotten.
snapshot of a guy playing in goal for 10 games. He's been very good, but there's a reason why he's been a backup keeper for the amount of time that he has. There's been a reason that you think of in the last 10 years, how many first goalkeepers that we've rinsed through. We've rinsed through and got rid of them and said, nah, we don't like this one either. And all of that time, Martinez has been in the background and no one's looked over and said, what about him over there? Because they see him every day in training. They get the reports back from the places that he's been on loan to. And here's the thing. The reason why Martinez has looked very good in goal and the reason why Bernd Leno has equally looked good in goal, and it's no coincidence that we've got two goalkeepers that all of a sudden both look like well-beaters, is because they've got a crap defence in front of them. And in front of that crap defence, they've got a crap defensive midfield. So they're constantly spending 90 minutes in their goal, alert, switched on, and expecting shots to come at them. They're switched on for 90 minutes. They're on their toes. When you get a decent defence in front of your goalkeeper, and in front of that decent defence, you get a decent defensive midfield, now you've got a goalkeeper that isn't working as hard. But at some point during that 90 minutes, he may get one or two chances where the ball will come at him. That's when you'll know if you've got a good goalkeeper. He can switch it on out of nothing when he's had nothing to do because everyone in front of him is doing their job. And then they switch on for those one or two chances and they save the ball. That's when you know you've got a good goalkeeper. And we haven't seen that yet in either Bernd Leno or Martinez because they're both being overworked and they're constantly switched on. So they both look really good. It's not the true story, in my opinion. Just that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong.
Who have you felt more comfortable with than Bernd Leno between the sticks or Martinez?
Well, we've only seen Martinez in a snapshot of 10 games, but he has looked very good. You could almost make an argument that if there was some way of splicing them both together, you'd have, because some of them have got a better attribute where that attribute is a little bit weaker in the other one and vice versa. If you could somehow splice them together, you'd have a really good goalkeeper.
So would it be an Emi Leno or would it be Bernd Martinez?
If I was in charge, if I was making the decision, what I would do, I would sell Martinez now while he's hot. Because we're supposed to be a self-sustaining model. And I'm just looking at this from a business standpoint. We want to strengthen the team. In order to strengthen the team, we need money. We're being told there isn't a lot of money. So if we've got an asset like Martinez who's just put himself in the shop window and other teams would want him, and we could get maybe 30 to 35 million euros for him, I would take it now rather than we keep him. And after his purple patch, he then goes back and reverts to being a number 2 goalkeeper, and his value does drop. The last thing that you would want is to sell Leno, keep Martinez. Martinez goes back to being why he's a number 2 when the defense in front of him improves. The risk is that you sell Leno, you sell Martinez, and then he goes on somewhere else, and then you have to watch him be really good somewhere else. That's the gamble that you take. But I would stick with Leno, and I would sell Martinez to bring in cash now.
Yeah, and I would keep both keepers. That's my personal opinion. Let's go around. Darren, what would you do with the goalkeeper? Sell one or sell none?
I'm trying to stay on Stan's good books in a minute.
No, man, it's not about that. It's about what? It's about your opinions and how you feel.
I think he's just bantering his head.
I'd probably sell Leno just because he's, like you said, Stan, they're both equal good. I think we probably more made for Leno, if I'm completely honest, than we would Arteta. But then, I don't know, it's a difficult one to be honest, because as I said, they're both equally as good. So
Yeah, Usman, it's really difficult. What would you do? Keep both keepers or sell one?
I mean, I'd rather keep both keepers, obviously, because we've all seen what Brent Leonard's done for us this season, obviously due to our defense, and Emi Martinez has done well in the 10 games he's played, but it's just 10 games that we've seen. We haven't seen most of the games that we've seen. Selling him doesn't sound like a good idea for me, but considering if we could get a good amount for him, then we might as well. Might as well. I'm not a fan of it, but if that's what we have to go down to, then I wish Martinez all the best. And by the way, if goalkeepers had decent defenses, this is what they'll do. They'll get a pillow, they'll put their head on it, and they go to sleep. Just like that.
Yeah. Well, Stan, you remember how David Seaman used to be. You tell me that story. That were close.
Yeah.
Right?
But also as well, you remember Alex Manninger? Alex Manninger came in as a backup to David Seaman. And, you know, David Seaman was getting on a bit. And I think he had a bit of it. I think he got injured. So Alex Manninger stepped in for about a dozen games or so.
Yeah.
And he looked really good, didn't he? He looked really good. And I can remember,
we won the title.
I can remember Arsenal fans saying, let's get rid of Seaman now and keep this guy. Because they saw this guy and he was good for 12 games. And then what happened to Alex Manninger? His form fell off the end of a cliff.
Yeah.
You know, he never was able to recapture that form anywhere that he went ever again. We ended up selling him. He lost that form. You know, he wasn't able to recapture it.
Yeah.
And that can happen. And I just think there's a reason why Emi Martinez, he's ever gone anywhere out on loan, and that loan team's gone, we want to keep this guy, we want to buy him. Comes back.
To be honest.
No. Rohan, shout out to Rohan. Not going in seriously for Thiago is a crime. He may not come, but we got to try. The midfield is bad.
Can I ask you a question, Ray? Because I know that you want to keep both keepers. Let me paint a scenario. It's not a real scenario, but let's just paint a scenario. If it meant that you had to either, the choice was keep both of those keepers, or you had to get rid of one, and that money was the only way that you would say be able to fund money to bring in someone like a Thomas Partey, what would you do? Would you let one of them go in order to make that happen? Or are you that wedded to having those two keepers that you would say, no, that's not a deal that I would make? Because you feel it's that vital to the team to have them still.
I think I'm wedded to the two goalkeepers, but even if I'm not getting Thomas Partey.
Okay.
Because we have what we call a serviceable midfield right now. We're not great, and we have two members of that midfield. One of them is on holiday since last weekend, and the other just can't find his way into the team. I think there's other players, there's other ways to fill midfield as well, you know. But I would keep both goalkeepers just because of injury or loss of form, you know. That's just my take on it. Let's get into final thoughts, though. We're going to wind this thing up soon. Usman, final thoughts just on Arteta, what he's done in the last 8 months. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, you know, and what your hopes are for next season.
Arteta, he's to be fair to Arteta, he's done extremely well considering the fact that he's a novice manager, winning the FA Cup as well, even though our journey started in January. If I was already out of 10, I would give it a 7. But because we won the FA Cup, he just gave it a 2. So I'll just give it a 7 out of 10. It was going to be 5 out of 10 originally. Future on, I don't know, because I always go by the phrase, hope kills you. So that's why I don't tend to have much.
Right? It's the hope that kills you, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about next season, Roseman? Under Arteta. Tough one.
Yeah. We can only see. I still don't think we're going to get top 4 with him because mainly because of us, and other reasons is because of other teams around us. They're going to go into transfer window. They're going to be serious. They're going to try and get the players they need.
I know Tony's here watching. If you look at the form table for the calendar year of 2020, we are sitting 4th in that league right now. So under Arteta, we would be 4th if it was just those 18 games in the calendar year. That's interesting. So I think we're going to get close to the top 4 next season. We may not get it, but I think we're going to be in contention for it. Darren, your final thoughts, Darren, and thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Hope you come on again. Hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
It's all fun here. It's just a little bit of banter, and you're allowed to like what Ozil brings to the table, if that's your opinion. We're going to smile and laugh a little bit, but that's your opinion. Go ahead.
So sorry, what was the question? I got completely.
Hope you enjoyed being on. I hope you'll come on again. Your final thoughts about Mikel Arteta and what he's done in the last 8 months.
I've been obviously the first couple of months at the beginning. It was all a bit of a shaky start, but sort of, he's brought the FA Cup home back to us, so you can't
fault that, right?
It's a good sort of finish to the season, really. So,
and tactically, he's pretty good tactically in terms of setting a team up. Look at it. Actually, I think I was watching Andrew from Dallas Square. He said, "We've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten City, we've beaten United, and we've beaten Chelsea. There's 4 teams that are in the top 4 right now. We've beaten all of them this calendar year."
Yeah, I mean,
not a bad track record.
What gets me is that we've been like big teams, but we seem to lose against the smaller teams.
Yeah, exactly. You've hit the nail on the head there, Darren. Consistency is what's needed going into next season. That's the biggest thing for me. Stan? You're on mute, I think.
For me, next season, we've got to finish in the Champions League. Got to get Champions League football. That has to be the main objective.
Yeah, I think fans have to relinquish the thought of winning a trophy over getting into that top 4.
It would be nice, I tell you what would be nice if we could do it by winning the Europa League.
Yeah.
To win a trophy along the way and get, a European trophy of sorts in the cabinet. That would be fantastic. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah. James is a Spurs supporter. You're still welcome here, James. You have to qualify 3 times to get into the Europa League now. You know that, right? And if Bayern come in for Leno at 60, what do you do, right? Tony, every player has their selling price. If it's 60 million, I would sell for Leno. Everybody's got their price. Just going to get through a few questions here or comments, and then we'll get out of here. We equals Arsenal. Sorry. Good stuff from Arteta. Give him more time. I like his desire and determination. Those water breaks, we want to see a little bit more of that as well, Stan, right? We the water.
It seems to be helping us, right? I mean, why don't we just go the whole hog and play the game in quarters, 4 quarters?
Yeah, we should divide it up at every 15 minutes, right? right?
Yeah.
Darren, what do you think of the water breaks? Were you a fan of them?
I love them, especially because when we were playing Chelsea, I was surrounded by Chelsea fans, and
How was that? Yeah, how was that? Surrounded by Chelsea fans. Was it enjoyable in the end?
it was for me. I don't think it was for them. I managed to get out of the house alive, put it that way.
You got out alive, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to help because that's when, because at the beginning of some of the games we're very shaky, and as soon as we have the walk breaks, the team get the talk and boom, they're on fire. It's like what just happened,
Yeah. Rowan said 8.5 out of 10 for Arteta this season until now, but the serious work starts now. And I think Rowan and I agree on the fact that this was pretty much a free hit this season for Arteta. The fact that he's kind of knocked the club into a bit of shape is a good thing. How hopeful are we when over half the 55 redundancies were from the scouting department? Yeah, that's not a good situation. Listen, we're going to wrap it up here. Usman, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Stan, thanks for joining me as always, my mate.
Thanks, mate. A pleasure to be on with yourself and Usman, and really nice to meet you as well, Darren, because I've seen you in our chat box on quite a few different podcasts as well, not just this one. So it's nice to finally meet you, mate.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what I will say, bring these four back, bring these guys back.
Yeah, that would be a best four, right? Adam, Cole, Dixon, and Winterburn. How about that, Stan? We're problem solved.
If you could just imagine, if you could just clone them, yeah, and maybe put Keown in there as well. Get Martin Keown in there as well, the five of them, and clone them lot and have them working at the back for us. It'd be game over, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
No, I've even tweeted to Lee Dixon say, right, I'll spot my knee for his injured, so he can just go on that pitch. He would show a lot of them how to do it. No.
Yeah, Tony, I did say we would sell for 60 million. The Arsenal squad, surely Arsenal not the only ones. James, I hate to break it to you, Arsenal will not get top four. We'll see what happens. Neither will Spurs. At least you're realistic, James. I hate they are getting rid of the 5 subs. Yeah, it's going to be back to 3. That's the problem. Very disappointed the league voted against 5 subs. Listen, I want to thank everybody in the comment section as well, because there's 4 of us here talking. Tanner was here. Thanks for joining me, Tanner. I'm not here. Had to leave as well. But Simon Hill, Tony Turner, DWTT, James Fernandez, Don Juan, Steve Denham, the assembled, Gunnar Glenn, Rule Carvey. Thanks for joining me, new face Rule. Alex from Cannon Fodder, and of course Rohan. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks for watching. This has been a long and winding road. This season has been, but we got to the end of it. We got a piece of silverware, Stan. We got the trophy.
Yeah.
We won the FA Cup. Darren, how did that feel? Good, right? We want some more of that.
Yeah, I was enjoying the presentation. That's again. I said I was surrounded by Chelsea fans, so I was I was the only one who was celebrating in the house.
So once again, thanks for joining us. We'll be back. See you next time. We are out of here. Come on, you Gunners. Up the Arsenal. I'll catch you on the next pod. And check out Stan. You're going to be 48 hours from now. You're going to be with Tanner, Rowan, and Ryan on the same old Arsenal. So check that out.
No, I think we're going to be just on the Bearded Gooner show. Isn't it? I don't think it's the same old Arsenal.
Okay.
I think he's just doing his Bearded Gooner thing on Tuesday.
All right. Thanks for the clarification. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're out of here. Come on, you Gooners. Up the Arsenal for the second time.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Sir Chips Keswick.